This is an emergency, I'm begging urgently, this is a serious case.
Hey, good day everybody. This is your man the Baron coming to you to talk about the movie Soul. Now, I'm not going to give you a play-by-play commentation of the movie Soul, but I'm going to give you the esoteric meaning behind the movie Soul. And just before we get this thing kicked off, I want to remind you guys to hit that like button, share this video if you deem the information in this thing to be of some value, which you will, trust me, because I'm finna hit you with a lot of esoteric meaning, occult symbolism. I'm gonna share with you the Orisha. Okay, get this. I'm gonna share with you the Orisha to which this movie is depicting. There's several Orishas in here. Several, I'm going to say, deities in here. I'm going to use the Orisha version due to, you know, me being in love with the Yoruba religion, with the Ifa religion and the Yoruba's practices and things. So basically the story is told from the eyes of a perspective of Joe. Joe is a music instructor, music teacher at the high school. And his dream wasn't to be a music instructor or, you know, a band teacher, whatever. His dream was to be a jazz musician, pop star, however you want to call it, jazz star. He wanted to have his name in lights, show off his talents and everything, because that he felt that was his spark. You know, I use the word felt. That was his spark. And we're going to talk about what the spark means. We're going to talk about Joe's enthusiasm. We're going to talk about egoism. We're going to talk about all of this stuff that played a part in this role, and we're going to talk about how it relates to our lives being reincarnated, being born, and all that other good stuff. So again, back on Joe. Joe is teaching band, and he found one good student who was Connie, who was supposed to be just that thing. She just rolling. And she got lost in the sauce. She got lost in that mindset of greatness. You know, this typically happens with warriors. When you're a boxer, you get lost in that thing. When you're a firefighter, police officer, when you're a doctor, when you're a motivational speaker, anything you do as a profession that you love, you get lost in it. And when you win it, nothing can tell you different. Nothing can stop you. This is how it is with life. As humans, we find that one thing that we love. We find it, we go for it, and nobody can tell us different about it. So this is what Joe was representation, and I meant what Connie representation. Connie in this movie represented Joe rekindling his spark, his flame, his love for music. As a band teacher, he just got so worn down with it's not his job, and boom, as soon as Connie hit that thing, she did her thing. He looked at Connie as inspiration, and she said, I'm only 12. Meaning like, dude, this is not my thing. This is your thing. You know, I can't answer your questions for you. Seek other guidance. Right after he does that, you get a knock on the door. The principal comes in and she offered him a job equally as good as his spark. So, but that, and I want to stop right there and talk about that. As soon as we as individuals find that one thing we like as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as husband and wife, as soon as we find that great wife, then the other person comes in and offer you something just a little bit better or equal to. And you're like, oh shit, I can marry this woman, or I can go in and deal with Sandra. You know, same thing. Joe said I can go over, I can start pursuing my career, start pursuing my dreams of being a great jazz musician again, rekindle a spark, or I can take this job with all the benefits and stuff and be comfortable. And he was presented with that. He got sad because he knew where his heart was. His heart was to be in the jazz thing. So now we're gonna fast forward. He's going home. He goes into the shop where his mother at. Pay close attention to this particular part in that movie, because everybody in the shop is wearing the color orange. And esoterically, the orange color represents avarice, selfishness. And the first thing his mother say, oh, my dreams has finally been answered. You have gotten a stable job. You will be employed, making money. That was the mother's dream. That won his dream. So the orange color that the mother's wearing represent avarice. So now, fast forward a little bit. He gets a call from his old classmate, his old student. Boom, here's that spark again. Boom, 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 boom. Hey man, you could go play with the Dorothea in the quartet. Okay, boom. He's excited. Now he's happy. He can only think about one thing: playing on stage with Dorothea. Now, after he goes and he plays on stage with Dorothea, I mean, she give him his little practice and he get lost in the sauce. And I want to stop right there and I want you guys to pay close attention when you watch this movie. He's surrounded by the color blues and purples and pinks, and it's blending, and he just in his zone. Now, that scene right there represents Joe tapping into his pineal gland. He tapped into the ether, because that's the color of the ether. That purplish, dark, void looking space. That's the color of the ether. That's where all his thoughts and his dreams and aspirations are created. So now Joe gets in there. He's doing his thing. He's in the ether. He's in the zone, and he's feeling himself. He forget about everybody else. Then when he come down to, he's back. Now, that scene right there plays the most critical part in that movie. Esoterically, Joe has reached enlightenment. He knows for sure what he wants in his life. He is so certain and so sure that the universe has no choice but to answer his call. And when he comes down from that meditative state, that euphoric mashup that he's been in, he's greeted with his ego. Who is his ego? His ego was Dorothea, because that's who he wanted to be with. That's who he wanted to be on stage with. He had a picture of her in the classroom, picture of her, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, all the jazz greats. And that was his ego speaking. Well, now, Dorothea represent, in this movie, I'm going to say Dorothea represents Shango, because she's a performer, she's foxy, she's jazzy, she's fiery, and she gave him the inspiration that he can do it. So once he comes down, the universe answers his call. Okay, we're going to give you the chance to play with Dorothea. Since you rekindled your spark via Connie, we're going to give you this chance to play, to do what you got to do, because you want it just that bad. You're starting to live again, my man. Boom. So after she say be here, boom, 7 o'clock, boom, 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 boom. He's going. He's not paying attention to anything else. He's not being cautious. He's not being concerned with anything else. That's typically how we do. When we know we got a fish on the hook, we know we got something good coming for ourselves, everything else takes a backseat. This man almost got crushed by bricks, almost slipped and broke his neck on banana peels, almost caught tetanus from stepping on rusted nails. Then as soon as he get to the crossroad, right before he falls in this manhole, this is very important. A dog alerts him. Everybody's trying to tell him, but then a dog says, rah, rah. The dog gets to barking, and he's not so much as startled by the dog, more so he ignores the dog. Now, in this movie, the dog represents God. Why do you say God is a dog? You just spell it backwards. Disney know what they're doing. You spell the dog backwards, you get G-O-D, which is God. So, spelling dog backwards, you get God. And that's what God typically do. When we in our zone and we have nothing else, God say, hey, let me give you a warning, man. You will head for destruction if you don't think logically how to go about this right here. You're going to head for destruction. And he ignored the warnings of the dog barking at the corner, and he steps into the crossroad. Again, here's the crossroad. He steps into the crossroad to where he has to make a pivotal decision. And right in that crossroad is a manhole to which he falls down and he expires. By him expiring in that manhole, his soul is taking, he give up the ghost, and now he's just a little soul in the great void. And he's wondering what's going on, man. How am I doing? How did I get here? He's trying to figure himself out. He's realizing that he's dead. So, but then again, he's not dead. His body is in what they call, in the movie, and they say this, the first Jerry he speaks to, which is a woman, and he asks, am I dead? She said, no, you're in the Gede state. Now, stop right there. I want you to understand what the Gede state is. You know, a Gede in Haitian voodoo there has a house of Gede, to which Baron Samedi is. Baron Samedi, Maman Brigitte, all these people, these death loyals, they control the house of Gede, and it's a family of them. Do your research. And she in the Gede state. This means that he's in between life and death. So this is his chance to, hey, I'm gonna make it or I'm not gonna make it. I'm either gonna do this or I'm not gonna do this. At this point, this is the decision he needs to make. Either he's gonna come back to life as a living creature, or he's gonna expire and die on out. So he's in some hospital room, hooked up on life support, all while this whole movie is being taken place. Now that's the beginning of the movie. That's how we did the movie. Now I've told you this. Oh, a little bit more about the movie before I get into the esoteric realm of it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm jumping. The movie is so good. I'm gonna watch it again and again and again because I just love the movie and the character just looks so good to me, y'all. So Joe goes over here to this place called the Great Before. While he's in the Great Before, he's befriended. He has to mentor, I should say, this young soul that has no ambition on coming to earth, has no dream, no spark, no nothing. He has to find out how to get this particular person to spark. So he goes down. She takes him to the darkest recesses of reality, and she comes up and he escapes back to earth with her, and she goes in his body and he goes in the body of a cat. The cat in this movie represents the subconscious mind, because in Egyptian mythology, cats was ruled not because they dominated us or physical life being cats. They ruled because cats is so majestic and so paused at what they do. They are always in control of their emotions and feelings, etc. So the cat represented the subconscious mind of Joe. Now the little girl is in Joe's body. She discovers her passion for life, whatever it is, and she referred to it as jazzing. And that's just living. Jazzing is another word for living your best life. YOLO. I can't believe I said that bullshit, YOLO. I hated it when it first was coined back in the day. But basically that's what it is, and she states it in the movie too. So Joe goes around, she's living his body, she finds her spark, they get pulled back up into the pre-space, and boom, 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 she get a spark. Joe travels to earth. He live out his one last little show, and then he realized that, you know, it ain't all what it's cracked up to be, you know, because that music wasn't his spark. That music was just what he was good at in life. He loved that. That was something that he loved. But his spark was living. And that should be the goal of all our spark, is to live. And that's what the movie was basically talking about. Now, let me get into the esoteric version of this. I may cut some things out in the beginning, you know, because I wanted to be straight here. I took some notes, but you know, I'm just gonna graze over the notes right quick, because the movie got too much esoteric meaning in it for me to go piece by piece. We'll be here for 2, 3, 4 hours. All right. So now, esoterically speaking, this movie is talking about an Orisha. And it's talking about the main Orisha, to which this Orisha has so many stories told about it. And this Orisha was a man, this Orisha was a woman, this Orisha was this. And I want to make this clear before I get into here. So for all the people who sit up here and disagree with this part of the video or this part of something, this is how I was raised. This is how I was taught. I'm not saying mine is right. I'm not saying theirs is right. But what I'm telling you is, this is the way I was taught, and this is what I'm going to bring it to you. So if you got some snapback comments that you want to leave in the video, by all means, cool. I welcome the smoke. But at the same time, take this as information and probably add on to what you already know, and look for the similarities in the two. And let's, you know, maybe things will work out. You'll get a little better understanding of what you was taught or how it was taught, because I listened to a couple other people's version of this Orisha that I'm going to talk to you about. And some of the stories make sense, but then some of it was kind of foreign to me, because that's not how I was raised and how I was taught this. But without further ado, here we go. So Now, the Orisha in question we're talking about is Oduduwa, because this whole scene of the Disney movie, after Joe passed off, it takes place inside Oduduwa's womb in the great void. And if you know anything about Oduduwa, and I'm just going to read straight from this right here. Oduduwa is an Orisha that was at one of the Orisha that was at the beginning of creation for mankind, human life, and all that other stuff. And I'll get into that story a little later in this video. I'm going to tell you how that creation story went, and I encourage you to look it up best you can. So we're going to go into the story of Oduduwa. So this is basically what Disney is saying, that this is a story of life creation, and you can't have life without Oduduwa. So Oduduwa represent the void. Oduduwa represent a womb, and another name for Oduduwa is Iya Agbe, which means the mother who receives. The mother who receives, Iya Agbe, the mother who receives. And so they still making Oduduwa feminine energy, and argumentatively, I'm going to use that word, debatable, argumentatively, in other cultures, Oduduwa is considered to be a man. Now, I ain't never seen a man birth a baby. A man can give you inspiration, but a woman is the one who does the birth. Insert, right? The woman is the one who gives birth. She is a womb man, a woman, a womb. It's in the names. So Iya Igbe means Oduduwa, and that's where this story takes place. So we're going to talk about the place the story is taken about, more so than the esoteric meaning of the movie, because all that's going to come to light once I continue to break this down. So the story takes place inside Oduduwa's womb, Iya Igbe. It means the mother who receives the womb and earth energy. The mother who receives the womb and the earth energy. So Oduduwa is representation of a female in this version of the Disney film. Okay, then you got Mother Earth, the Great Void. You have space, the Yoni, the womb. I'm finna, dare I say, the vajayjay. So the movie Soul is a story of the creation of life. In the Ifa tradition, and I'm gonna read just my notes and I'm gonna expound on it, so don't think I'm roboting it. In the Ifa tradition, this movie is celebrating the story of Oduduwa, and we know what Oduduwa, and I've told you my version of Oduduwa, the way I was raised, the story I was told. Oduduwa represent the female energy, feminine energy, the womb of the woman, and everything. So this whole entire story take place inside Oduduwa's womb, right before life is created, right before we give birth. You will notice the symbolism of all the holes in there, all the holes in the movie. There's a hole in the center of this whole youth center, the pre-life camp, to where they have to jump in the hole and they have to get to earth. Now, I'm going to stop right there, and I want you to pay attention. When you watch this movie, all of these little small souls, little white, little fuzzy, white, little smooth, gelatinous soul things, airy, they look like a man's semen. Now, each one, once they get their soul patch, once they get their spark patch, their earth patch, they can travel to earth and land on Mother Earth to take on a life, to live to reality. But these things lack sparks because they have no experience in life, and they have nothing. So that's why they're paired with a mentor. In this movie, a mentor is representation of a survivor. So these are souls that has completed a lifelong mission of servitude, and when they die, they decide to come back and teach and usher mankind to be just the same. I encourage you to look it up when it comes down to figuring out what a Savada is, when it comes to soul, and how the Savada is the mentors of the new souls that's coming to the earth. Again, it's a lot of esoteric meaning in here. So the word mentor in this movie is used as Savadas. Now, I want to talk about the patch that's on these kids. Now, when we talk about the patch, we're going to talk about the flower of life. The flower of life is, and it's a story that goes, and again, Google this. It's simple to find. In the creation of life, you have the great void, you have the blackness. And before there was anything, light had to permeate the blackness in order to create something. So there's a circle, and then the circle moves a little bit. It propels itself to move. And I'm gonna stop right there. In the tradition of Ifa Yoruba, they said that Oduduwa birthed himself. That's so true. But Oduduwa is not a him. Oduduwa is a feminine energy. So inside the great void there was a circle. And if you know what the flower of life looks like, it's circle, then it goes out like it's finna go halfway through, then it's another circle, then another circle is formed like it's gonna go halfway through, it's another circle, and it just keeps going all the way down until it makes 7 circles. It makes 7 circles, and that's supposed to be like the flower of life, the lotus, the blossom, everything. Not to mention the vajayjay is called the flower of life too, by the way. Disney telling people to go get it. Disney telling people to go bang, bang, bang. My love goes bang, bang, bang. You better run for cover, you sweet little thing. Think about Nathan Witherspoon, God rest his soul, great comedian. So now that flower, that symbol on there, that they couldn't come to earth until they got that last little thing, which was that spark that gave them life. They had lived out every other generation, every other thing. They was enthusiastic, they was this, they was that, they curious, all that. But if they don't have nothing that really gets them going, that wants to give them life, they can't come to earth. So the mentor, the Savat, had to come back and train them on what they want, help them find their spark, because souls are lost. You know, in the void, everything is lost. Sperm is just going all kind of crazy which way. It has no purpose, and only one sperm finds that spark, finds that egg, to which it starts developing and become a human life that can come to earth and be born. So that's how that's going. So the little patch on the little girl, on all those souls, pre-souls, that's that's representation of the flower of life. Now Joe is up there in spirit form, and he's decided to become a mentor, and he's decided to help this girl find her spark, and he wants to steal her badge. He wants to turn to an earth badge, and he could come back to earth to get in his body. He wants to steal it so he could come and relive. This shows the selfishness of Joe at this point, because he's in his ego state. He wants to go and play with Dorothea, be on stage and headlights, naming lights and all that stuff right there. So he's doing this for all the wrong reasons. So when he realized that it can't be done and the little girl don't want to come to earth, you know, he says, okay, let me go. She takes him through a back door, and he figured out a back door way to get back to earth. To figuring out the back door way to Joe taking the easy way out. This is a reincarnation style energy. Not saying reincarnation is bad, but if you're not going to die and live a different life and move forward to learn from your mistakes and everything, and you go and you want to reincarnate into the same life after you die, then that's bad. That means you have unfinished business. And in this movie, you know, Joe had unfinished business. That's why he kept trying to get back versus trying to go on to the next. He wanted to get back because he felt he had unfinished business. That's a pivotal move in this movie, by the way. So now back to where Joe is in the pre-life state inside Oduduwa's womb. And he's doing everything. He's trying everything. He's helping this girl, trying to show her. So then she says, change scene. Let me see your life, Joe. Since you got so much to say about me, let me see your life. And then Joe realized how much he wasted his time. This is what a mentor is supposed to do when the Savat's supposed to do. They're supposed to bring the harsh realities to you and to themselves, saying, hey, I did this. Don't you make the same mistake I made. This is what you could do differently. This is where they say your whole life flashed before your eyes when you die. So this is the scene which tells about Joe's whole life flashing before his eyes before he died. And he realized he ain't live at all. He never had a spark. He had a spark, but then that spark faded. And Connie rekindled his spark. Then his old student rekindled the spark by allowing him to perform with Dorothea. And Dorothea let him live out his dream as being on stage. Now back to Oduduwa. So now this is the story of Oduduwa. So Disney is representation of Oduduwa, and they represent it in being inside of Oduduwa's womb quite well. Oduduwa represent feminine energy, the womb. She represent what's inside. And again, none of these spirits walked on the earth. None of these entities that I'm going to talk about, none of these Orishas actually physically walked on the earth. This is just, I'm telling you this story by the characteristics of these guys. It is Oduduwa's time to give birth to a nation. That's her. Only one person can give birth to a nation. That's a woman. You know, and she has a womb, yoni, JJ, sex, whatever you want to call it. And the word O, let's break down her name. The word O, it means ownership. And Dudu means black. So the one who owns the darkness, the one who owns the void, the one who owns it. There's only one thing I know that owns a void, and that's a woman that can give birth. This is just giving you a little knowledge on how the Odus work in Ifa. There are 16 Odus to which you can make close to 300 Oduns. So there's only 16 Odu, but out of that 16, you can get close to 300. I think it's at this point, it's like 250 something and growing, you know, plus. So you can get all of those. All of it's gonna mean the owner of. Odu is the O, is the owner. Du is black. So you can get all these, the owner of the black void, the owner of the dark soul, owner of this, owner of that, ownership of this right here. So that's where I'm coming from with that right there. So that's a little bit on Odu. Also, Odus can be used for rituals. So you ever heard of what they call sex magic? Oduduwa is the most powerful Orisha there ever is and ever will be. And I'm just going to state it and say it. Drop your comments below if you don't believe me on this. I mean, what's more important than a woman? The woman is the most powerful thing on the planet. The best thing God ever created. That's his masterpiece. And I will fight you tooth and nail on that one. Feministic. Fight you tooth and nail on it. So now Odus can be used for various rituals. They can be used for spell work. They can be used for divination. And now I want to stop when I say Odus can be used for divination. By Odu being used for divination, it tells of what our offspring will be. When a mother has a baby, she has high hopes and dreams that her son or daughter is going to be the president of the United States. It's going to be a doctor, lawyer, a great warrior and fighter, a hunter, gatherer, protector. It's going to be the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. This is the divination form of it. Oftentimes, as that kid come up, their divination takes a different thing because now they're living a life due to their own dreams, goals, expectations. And sometimes they line up with the parents, sometimes they don't. But that's just a mother, son, daughter, kid type of thing to go for. So I want you guys to know that also Oduduwa is representation of a portal because it represents a chakra point of the universe. And if you didn't know, the universe has its own chakra points. Please, please, please go to Google and research this. So the universe has its own chakra points. Oduduwa represents a chakra point within the universe. And it's a great portal. And as you can see, the portal of a woman is the porthole of a woman is that little JJ that where the penis slides in and becomes a great void, and all of the, and when a man busts a nut, you know, all these other things run around looking like semens, and then they got to be permeate, grow, ferment, and then they can come to earth as a human child. This is what Disney's talking about. Disney is, this whole movie is set inside the womb of one of the, if not the most powerful Orisha to ever exist in theology, mythology, however you want to call it. So the movie Soul, again, is about pre-life and reality, and nobody can live a reality until they get a spark, a soul. The spark is representation of the soul. In the movie Transformer, everybody was looking for the all spark. Everybody looking for a purpose. Everybody looking for soul, that thing that makes them want to live, grow, achieve, that makes them want to act and do. So in the beginning, the creation story that I was taught growing up that helped me come to this conclusion that Oduduwa is a feminine energy. Oduduwa is often paired with Obatala, and being paired with Obatala, you know, Obatala is a strong masculine male energy, and if we can all agree that Obatala is the father of humankind, the father of mankind, he created us. I just say he created our heads. So he is the creation of man. Can we all agree on that one? And if he created man, Oduduwa had to be the woman, because Oduduwa and Obatala, there was kind of like married energy. So the creation story goes that Obatala and Oduduwa was up in the heavens, the realms, the ether, whatever you want to call it, and they was arguing so much. They was fighting. Keep in mind, at this point, none of these Orishas was physical human beings walking the earth. They was just energy. So Obatala sitting up in this thing, and he says, I'm arguing, and he says, boom, he plucks, the story goes, he plucks out Oduduwa's eyes, making her blind. Plucked out her eyes, making her blind. She, in turns, get mad, curses him to eat snails. Now, the snail is very significant in that story, because the snail represent the Fibonacci spiral, the fingerprint of God. Because if you look in a microscope at everything that ever created, it starts with that pattern, a snail shell pattern, Fibonacci spiral, the fingerprint of God. Now, with Oduduwa forever being, Obatala cursed her to forever see blackness, this is saying for her to forever see a womb. And she say, okay, if I can't see, and you got me all pissed off, and I can't see what I need to do, I'm constantly in darkness, and I constantly have this void. Curse her to have a void. So Obatala told Oduduwa, hey, you're going to have a feminine energy, and I'm going to have a male energy, and this is how we're going to create life. It pissed them off, so they say got angry. But hey, it happens. I don't know that story. I'm not up there with them. So the creation story goes like that. Oduduwa tells, Obatala tells Oduduwa, hey, you're going to play woman, I'm going to play man. Oduduwa gets mad, but hey, they took on that role as that feminine energy. Okay, now Obatala say, you're going to have a womb. And she said, well, if I got to have this womb, you're gonna eat snails. You're gonna have to come inside me all the time, so we can get this thing creation. I'm gonna take on this role. I'm gonna be your wife. I'm gonna be your concubine, your mate, however you want to call it. And boom, 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 boom. Ergo, life is created. So there's a couple. So that's why when you're doing offers to Obatala, you're gonna bring him snails. Or when you're doing offerings to Oduduwa, you want to sit in complete darkness, to which I'm going to do a video on how to do a ritual of Oduduwa following this one right here. So you sit in complete darkness, listen to live band music, no light should shine, even cover your eyes with a mask. And you sing and you praise and you say your dances, and you sing and you praise and you say your chants and everything, while asking for favors and permission, and asking for inspiration and guidance and psychic connection abilities and everything like that. And that's just a beautiful thing, and trust me, it'll happen. So now Oduduwa has a womb, and all of these little semens are jumping into her womb, trying to live, trying to create life. It's a serious thing, trying to create life. I think about it, and I think about the esoteric version of this movie, and it just sends me in a daze, because when you know, it's hard to explain, but when you know. Gotta take a deep breath, because it's a beautiful thing to be able to look at something with your spiritual eyes and see the meaning. It's just so beautiful to me. I watched this movie 3 or 4 times, and I'm just not trying to break the damn thing down, because I just enjoyed the movie so much. So now, back to the movie. So I told you the story. Oh, let me finish telling you the creation story. My bad, I just got lost. So, in the beginning of the creation, the way the story goes, there was 4 Orisha present. There was Oduduwa, there was Obatala, there was Orunmila, and there was Ilegba. But people don't sit up here and they don't want to say Ilegba was there, but you couldn't do anything without Ilegba, because who opened the gate? So the way the creation story goes, that Obatala begets Oduduwa. Orunmila being the guy over divination, personalities, all that good stuff at that time, he knew the past, present, and future of life that has been lived, life that will be lived, life that will die. So he was in charge of giving the people their sparks, giving the people their personalities, or pairing them with the mentor. So we could say in the movie, Orunmila is the Jerrys. They know all, they've seen all, they know all, they've seen it all, they've done it all. So again, Disney put this in and hit it very well. So Orunmila, at the beginning of the creation story, Orunmila is there. Now, where does Elegba plays in this part of the creation story? Elegba is the 33rd vertebrae, the 30 between the 32nd and the 33rd. This is where Elegba resides, right? And he's basically saying, this is where I reside, in the subconscious mind right here, to which he talks to Olakun, and him and Olakun come together and they say, hey, this is what's going to happen. Olakun is the owner of the dreams and the water and the fish, deep dark oceans, inspiration, the richest or richer there is. That's Olakun. And after all of this mating has been done and all these personalities has been given, Elegba contacts Olakun on Earth and say, hey, we're from the center soul down there. I need you to get your waters ready, warm the waters because a baby is coming. Literally, warm the waters because a baby is coming. I can't believe I said that. So boom, Olakun say, okay, I'm going to warm the water, a baby is coming. Boom, baby comes. Da, 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 da. Baby is permeating inside the mama's belly, doing their thing. That's all the music and the jazz explosion. Pow, 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 pow. 9 months later, a baby comes. Before we get to that part, we notice this guy spinning a sign. Moon Wind, Moonlight, whatever his name is in the movie. It's the older white guy at the corner spinning a sign, and he's in a trance. He's doing his job and he's in his trance. His body's on autopilot and he's in the ether, helping people to find their purpose, helping lost souls find their way. This is Elegba in this movie as well, because Elegba stands at the crossroad. Elegba is there to help people find their way. Same principle as the creation story. This again, why this Disney show is representing the creation story. So all of this takes place inside Oduduwa's womb when they come to Earth. Now they got to see Elegba because this is a crossroad. This is a pivotal moment. Okay. Now Moonwind says, hey, he finds them when they're in the void, when they're still up there in pre-life in the void, in the back way of the ship. He said, hey, we need to go to the weakest point so we can puncture a hole in reality, and you guys can get back here and you guys can live right here, because you're like, if you want to go backwards, I'm going to help you go backwards. I'm going to offer this. And Moonwind say, man, we got to do a ritual to do this. And now in Haitian voodoo, there's a ritual where you can live again. The zombie ritual, you can live again. And I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. I know my place and I'm going to stand where I'm at, because I'm standing on wood, everybody. That's a spell, believe it or not. So I'm standing on wood. I'm saying my spell of protection right now. So Moonwind represent Elegba, the guardian of the crossroads, and he's helping people find his way. And it's still so easy to remember. He got a sign and he's spinning the sign, and the sign is going this way. He stops it here and there. He's spinning the sign, meaning that he's giving people direction at the point in their life to which they need to go. The soul comes up and they says, hey, I need to get back into my own body. How do we do this? He say, okay, I'll find you during the hours of Gemini. This means two. There was two souls trapped on Earth, one in a cat, one in a body. And he said this means they share a symbiotic thing. This is the subconscious mind and the physical mind. The subconscious mind and the physical body. There are two things. There was a duality there. So he said, hey, if you meet me here, we'll sit down, you know, at 6:30 during the sign of Gemini in August or something like that. He gave a phrase to which I can't remember offhand. But boom, but when he comes up there, by then Connie had experienced living life and she had developed her spark. And she didn't want to go back. So Joe was chasing her and boom, Connie passes off. The guy come down, the Terry comes down and he traps him, and Terry sends him back to heaven. Gotcha, mate. Sends him back up to heaven, and I'm into the pre-life zone. And Joe is upset, but Connie finds her spark, and Joe has to get on the ship and go look for her. And again, Elegba is in the spirit world, and he said, "Hey, hop on this ship, dude. I'm the seaman." And he's manned by Olakun and everything underwater. You know, the Flying Dutchman. That's the whole thing. You gotta Google how the Flying Dutchman relates to Olakun and Yemoya. I encourage you guys to look that up. So he's sitting up there, and he tracks Connie down in the spirit world, and Connie by then has lost all hope. That stands for our dreams and our inspiration that we lose hope and clarity on, and we just don't know what we're doing anymore, and we get lost, and that's where we become vagabonds, homeless, wretches. We start doing things that are not us. She wanted to be destructive and everything, and she just getting bombarded and browbeat by every imaginable thing in her life, all these things that's imagined and unimagined. You know, I want to share something in the movie. Throughout the whole time in this movie, the little girl kept saying, "You really should look up Lisa. You really should find out Lisa. You really should look up your old girlfriend Lisa. Look up your old girlfriend Lisa." That plays a big role. That tells me that there's going to be a part 2 to this movie, and the movie probably going to be called Soul to Soul. You get it? Soul to Soul, or Soul to Two Souls. So Soul to Soul. Disney going to make a second part of this movie where after Joe start living, he goes and realizes that he forgot about living the life with Lisa due to his mother's selfishness and being a school teacher. He's going to get Lisa, and I think Connie is going to be born into that little girl. I think Connie is going to become Joe's baby. Joe and Lisa are going to get together. They're going to have a baby, and Connie going to come back, and he's going to realize, you know, like, "Hey, you familiar?" Kind of, "Yeah, you familiar." And they're going to reconnect because they're going to have an esoteric psychic bond, you know. All right, everybody, I'm finna close this out. I'm going to have to do some heavy editing, but I'm going to say it. All right, everybody, I'm the Baron, telling you guys to trust in you and universe, because at the end of the day, y'all, you got to please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button, share. I wore my company shirt because of in honor of the movie Soul, because it was just such a great movie. My company name is called S.O.LMatters. My website is S.O.LMatters.com. Go and patronize it. Products on there and everything like that, and I just thank you guys for patronizing me. I hope you guys got some out of this video. It was clear, quick, and cut, and it's just so much, and I wanted to do a commentation on the video, but it would just take too long, and it just wouldn't be organic with my thoughts. It'll be just me breaking down scenes, and I'm not a commentator. So I hope you guys get a little bit from this. I thank you all for patronizing me again. Take care. God bless. Much love.